What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today's video, we're talking about the good old 4.0. I've done videos in the past saying, should you buy an 05 to 09 Mustang V6? But today's video is going to be a little bit broader. We're talking about, should you buy a Mustang V6 just in general, no matter what the year is. Now, let's get some of the basic stuff out of the way. If you're looking for performance in a straight line, no, this is probably not the best platform for you. But for a lot of us, you know, we just want to get into a car that's, you know, sportier, muscle, whatever you want to call it. And it's just a step up compared to your everyday average commuter. Now, for those that don't know, if you're new to the channel, this is my 05 Mustang, my V6. I also own an 03 Cobra, which is, for those that do not know, it's a supercharged V8. So I do kind of have the best of both worlds and have experience in both the V8 groups and the V6 groups. So I've had this car for 8 years and I absolutely adore it. Even though I got the Cobra, I would never get rid of this car. And even if I did, it would take something crazy to replace. This car has never let me down over the years. I've done quite a few appearance mods. That was always my goal with this car, to make it look as good as possible while maintaining, you know, just mechanical integrity. I didn't want to risk it. It's been a really solid daily and I try to keep it as clean as possible. So let's hop into, you know, the most common things. Now, a lot of people might not be able to afford the GT versions or the V8 versions or whatever cars they're looking at, and that's totally okay. When I bought this car, I was just, you know, 2 weeks past turning 18 and I wanted to get into a cool car. Now, at that time, I didn't know the differences between the V6 and the GT. I didn't know about Shelbys. I didn't know about Cobras. I didn't know about Bullets, any of that stuff, right? To me, a Mustang was a Mustang. And I feel like a lot of people forget about that. They lose that. You know, they'll start off on a V6 or maybe they start off on a GT, and before you know it, now they're just bragging about what they have and they forget. You know, I feel like if you don't start off with a V6, you don't really tend to appreciate them for what they are. So this is the perfect segment into why I think you should buy a V6, because they're just fun cars. They're not these huge investments. You don't have to worry about like depreciation, really. Just drive them, enjoy them for what they are. Whereas my Cobra, for example, I get worried driving that car. I'm like, oh, if someone hits me, I'm in trouble. If something happens to that car, it's gonna be super expensive. Whereas this car, I've driven it a lot and I've never had one issue. Knock on wood. Now that I said that, watch, something's gonna happen. But no, these cars are just absolutely awesome and they look so good. So for me, going into this, I knew that this was never going to be a quote unquote fast car. I always had realistic expectations and my goal was just to make it look good. I wanted to have road presence, and I think I've done a pretty good job. Now, some people are going to point out, well, you have this gigantic hood on there. You're probably thinking your car's fast or faking it. No, I always liked the cowl hood. Now, if I could go back in time, I would have done the 2.5 inch. This is the 4 inch, so this is about as aggressive as it gets. And yes, is it over the top? For sure. But come on, guys, can't deny it looks pretty good. Down the road, I might switch it up just because I've had this hood for a long time. And part of me likes the more sleek, subtle styling. So I think sooner or later, we're going to change this up. You know, drop some comments down below. I have an idea of what hood I would go with. Another thing about these cars, now, this is being filmed in March of 2022. So I don't know when you guys will see this video, but as most of you, I'm sure know, gas prices are absolutely out of this world right now. Today I saw $4.49. Last week I saw $4.80. And that's just for 87, guys. So for a lot of you that commute, maybe you don't have, you know, the best paying job, totally okay. You can't really maybe afford the car plus insurance plus the gas. Now, truth be told, these cars are not exactly the best on gas mileage, at least around the city. I get like 15, maybe 16 miles per gallon if I'm lucky. So that's not, I mean, awful. There's definitely worse, but I love it. It's definitely a good daily driver. It's extremely mechanically sound. Like I said, I've never really had to put a penny into this other than like oil changes and then obviously all the cosmetic stuff. But they just, the road presence, especially the 05 to 09s, I love this body style. It's retro, especially the interior. And they just, I feel like they've aged well. Show you guys in here. You have to pardon the dirty floor mats. Got to get her cleaned up from winter, but these cars also, another cool thing about the V6s is that there's so much aftermarket support in terms of mods. You guys, you know, one of the big things that I want to do and that I've had, I just have to put it on, is the dual exhaust. That'll really change it up here, because the single exit right there, that kind of drives me crazy. But it's not the end of the world. A lot of guys, they'll actually just take off the muffler and let it just sound crazy. I had a friend in high school that did that, and these 4.0s actually sound pretty rowdy with the muffler delete. But back to, you know, V6s, why you should buy one, the community. Now, some of you guys are like, hang on, hold up. Believe it or not, so I'm in a lot of the Cobra groups and the V8 groups. I'm also in a ton of the V6 groups. And believe it or not, the V6 groups are a lot more fun to be in. People are a lot more positive. It's not a measuring contest. Whereas in the V8 groups, if you don't have 1,000 horsepower, you're not twin turboed or whatever, people will make fun of you. Whereas the V6 groups, everyone embraces you. They love your car. And you just tend to get a lot more positive vibes. Now, I think everyone should own a V6 Mustang because you don't fully get to appreciate them if you don't own one. Now, it's not to say that these are the best cars ever made because that would be kind of silly. But I mean, come on. It's a good car. So if you're someone out here right now and you're watching this video, let's say you're younger, or maybe you're older, who knows? Let's forget the age. You're trying to buy a car, you want to get a Mustang, and sure, maybe you could afford a GT, but it'd be pushing it. Do not be embarrassed to get a V6. They're great cars. You can make them look good. They usually don't drop a ton in price unless you're looking at brand new, but like you could scoop up one of these cars now for easily under 10,000. I mean, honestly, for like a 100,000 mile one, you're probably in like the $6,000-$7,000 ballpark range, and that's not bad at all. It's a good amount of car for the money. So yeah, guys, I know this video was probably for some of you a shock, but I love my V6 Mustang. And I also love my Cobra. They're two very different cars with very different purposes. And I don't think I'd ever get rid of this car. As a matter of fact, I know I would never get rid of this car because it was my first car and I do have sentimental attachment to it. But it's a lot of fun. Now, I think once we throw some coilovers and maybe do some different suspension mods, this thing could actually rip pretty good cornering wise. But yeah. There you go, guys. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Beautiful sunset we have tonight. Man, it is like 60 degrees out, and it just gets me so happy knowing that spring is here. So yeah, guys, again, if you're someone watching this and you're torn and you've been deciding should you get a V6 or should you get a V8, if you can swing the V8 comfortably, do it. They're both great cars. But if you can't, don't stress. Go test drive one of these. They're really good cars. You can make them sound good. You can make them look good. I think this is a testament. Might not be everyone's cup of tea, but you know, all in all, I think it's a pretty darn good looking car. I'm a little biased, but yeah, guys, there we go. I hope you all have a great evening, and I will catch you guys in the next upload. Later, guys.